Click the links to join channel here over on Subscribestar. So John Favreau, he's just kind of exemplifies a lot of kind of left wing panic over on Twitter. The panic on Twitter as they use Twitter, and they all kind of weekly go, I don't know how much longer I can stay on this platform. I might have to go to Mastodon. You're not going anywhere. And nobody talks about going to like Instagram or Facebook because those platforms are kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like they're not dead because they're still netting billions of dollars, but it's like when a platform just doesn't have the vibe anymore, the excitement. It's kind of over. It's so I don't think they're going to Mastodon because the learning curve, and two, like they're not taking an echo chamber with them. These people are so hardcore for an echo chamber. I mean, John Favreau. There's two John Favreaus in Hollywood. I'm sure they're great actors. I'm not going to be petty on that. But a guy like millions of followers, and then you go look at their tweets. You go, oh, so tweet's been up for 6 hours and got 80 likes. That's weird. If you didn't have that name and you were just anonymous name and numbers on Twitter, you'd be on there for 10 years and you would have like 100 mutuals, and that would be it, because nothing you're saying is outside the narrow scope of allowable NPC behavior. I get into that argument with people all the time. It's like everything they wonder like why they don't get any engagement. And you look at their tweet history, like you're not saying anything that actually challenges anyone's belief system. Or just because we're not an istophobic bigot. If that's your definition of someone who goes out the envelope of allowable opinions, then maybe it's time to be. Anyway, so Twitter. The Twitter files release Fallout, and it affects Hollywood. It's like Hollywood, the left wing. They're all kind of the same. If anything, Hollywood is a little bit less intellectual than a lot of the like the left wing reporters, at least, are a little bit further to the right of the bell curve, simply because they're reading and writing so often. And like you can take someone who's kind of an idiot and you just force them to read and write, and next thing you know, they're halfway intellectual. But the thing is, they all have this preconceived mental blocks. In place. And I will say, like, for someone who was on the left, Sargon of Carl Benjamin, who was firmly on the left, but he was a true liberal. And like, if someone is a true liberal, you can and say you had the conversation from 5-10 years ago. You go, okay, you're smart and you are a real liberal. It means that you have preconceived notions, but you're also willing to discount them as facts come into play. And then you can go like, well, I know that you'll be where we are now because we started this journey earlier, and it only goes to one place. So it doesn't matter if you're this, I don't know, whatever his calling card was, liberal libertarian. If you have an open mind, you will come further along this path. It's inevitable, unless there's a psychological block or social pressure preventing you from moving forward. And he has slowly come to the right, as everyone will slowly come to the right, which is why YouTube over the years, after 2016 Trump got elected, they had to kick off like tens of thousands of right of center channels, because they helped Trump get elected, but they also know politics is downstream from social media, downstream from culture, absolutely. So Google kicked off the tens of thousands of channels that helped make the politics possible. And like parse that through in your mind for a sec, and just like don't just let it skip over. You think, so what you're saying is, it seems like Google has a lot of power as a gatekeeper, and so does Apple, to control elections. Yeah. Should they have that godlike power? No. No, 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 no. We should have free speech on social media, and you should be protected from discrimination based on your political viewpoints by corporations, banks, and your employers. Yes, those two talking points. Those two talking points should have been done 10 years ago. The next best time to do them is right effing now. Look to our representatives. Oh, dear God, you people are worthless. Just absolutely worthless. You're not going to do anything, are you? No, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to bicker back and forth with that Mexican kid, and or that rapper guy about just absolutely nothing. Great. You know what the right is really good at? Just effing each other to death. That's what they're really good at. The left at least has that terror. They're a herd, a hive mind. They're a center of the herd, and they're terrified of the extremists on the herd. The right wing will just, so you're a Christian nationalist, and these are pagan nationalists. Let's fight to the death. Okay, that doesn't seem like the most productive use of our time. No. We're going to do it right now. Okay, we're not going to win anything, are we? Anyway, so the Twitter fallout. Suddenly, Twitter is a national security threat, and it's a threat to our democracy. Did you mean republic? Because you keep using that word democracy, and I'm getting a little nervous. You keep saying this thing. So what happened? Well, the behind the scenes with Twitter is the guy buys Twitter, and the emails back and forth between the derp state and the social media companies, and it's like this is coming out with Twitter. Fair enough. So what do you think the Facebook family of companies, and Reddit and whatever all the other social media companies, like, so you think they were any different? Like, just because the Twitter logs came out, it's like the meme of the doll looking at you side eyed and then looking straight ahead, hoping you're not thinking about what he's thinking of. It's like, so Zuckerberg, huh? Facebook and Instagram. Call me crazy, but I suspect that the exact same thing has happened over there. But that story will never come out. Which, thank the Lord that Elon bought Twitter. No, I don't think he's hashtag our guy, but he's he appears to be a true liberal, which means maybe in the future he will be our guy. Anyway, so Twitter logs come out. In general, the précis is that the left wing aspect of the government, the derp state, was working with the media and social media to censor people. Essentially, the government was using social media to censor private citizens, we the people, those of us entitled to the privileges and immunities of the Constitution, the U.S. citizens. That was a violation on the face of it of our First Amendment right, and maybe due process. I don't know if that con law was a long time ago. So that was a violation of our constitutional rights. That actually happened. The government government may not violate your rights without due process, create or extinguish rights, and no, they can't use a private party to act as a proxy agent. Oh, hey, we sidestepped the Constitution by paying this guy to be a private. No, the Constitution still applies. The founding fathers knew that. Like, obviously, you can't ask for favors and say, "Oh, it's not the government doing it." It's like, well, if you're the impetus, the source, the nucleus, and then it propagates from you, it's like, well, it's still constitutional protections still apply. So the issue is that by censoring people, the government and media are working together to marginalize and oppress and further disenfranchise right of center voices, which unfortunately affects elections. And that cannot continue. I mean, besides the First and Fifth Amendment issues, I think there's Title USC stuff dealing with federal law dealing with election interference. So that's a wee bit of an issue. And as it turns out, obviously we're concerned about the U.S., but there's probably also stuff going on with the Canada and the truckers and the Brazil elections and a bunch of other stuff around the world, because suddenly it becomes people. Yeah, you're so confident when you turn off replies. People are going, "Oh, Twitter doesn't do anything. Twitter's not real. It doesn't affect elections." It's like, yeah, why'd you work so hard to cover it up then if it's not real? Yeah, Twitter's incredibly powerful. It's left or right to look at Twitter and go, it doesn't have a massive effect on the world. I was listening to the Twitter Spaces where Elon is 40,000 feet up in the air talking on Starlink to a group of people. And he's talking about why he had to. Essentially, he's saying like his brain told him to buy Twitter because he knew it was critically important to kind of liberalize this platform. And the thing is, if he didn't buy Twitter, I think Gab would have got a lot more attention and money, and you would have had a civil war. And he buys Twitter, it's like, well, you're probably still going to have a civil war. It's like some things just can't be averted. But credit to him for recognizing the massive importance of Twitter. So all this means is that we're not in control of our destiny if we're not in control of our elections. The media, social media, financial institutions, PayPal, Stripe, Foursquare, Patreon, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase Banks, those are all the companies that have been involved in denying you your place in modern day life, which is digital and financial. And essentially, if those corporations can debank you and censor you, it's like, well, you're just going to self-censor. And like, what a chilling effect that will have on free speech if we're actually ruled by financial institutions and social media companies that can remove you from modern day digital life, the modern day digital town square. Yes, obviously, constitutional protections should apply. You should be free from discrimination based on political beliefs from corporations, banks, or your employers. Yes, individual liberty should matter much more than $1 billion company's ability to destroy your life. That should be obvious. It's weird that, and 30 years ago, 20 years ago, even 20 years ago under Bush, the left wing would have been all on board the military industrial media complex. Oh yeah, what happened to that? Oh, we got subverted and corrupted. Yeah, that kind of is what feels like it happens. So those power structures, those systems need to be dismantled and returned to the people we, the people, privilege and immunities. By now, it should be pretty obvious the mainstream media and social media are alt-left extremist globalists who have kind of been, is it secretly running the show? I don't know how secretive they were, but they're definitely running the show. Look at all the major networks, all extremely dangerous, far left extremists, extremely. There's no equal right wing voice in the mainstream. If the right doesn't have a voice, then the media is actually running the country. Yeah, yes, as people have been saying, the tinfoil hat crowd, the media and the financial institutions. You keep talking about those, yeah, because they're massively important to take part. This isn't 100 years ago when all this stuff, half the stuff didn't exist. You just lived life in a small town. It's like you just didn't have this massive nexus, this interconnected network where suddenly personal liberty matters quite a bit, because if you give this power to gatekeepers to deny you the privilege of modern day existence. It's like, oh, so there are masters and we're our slaves and we'll just have to self-censor. Well, if we self-censor our ideas and our communications on social media networks, then I mean, what's downstream from ideas and discussion? If we self-censor and only left-wing ideas are allowed, it's like, well, we just move further to the left. Why would these financial institutions and social media companies, big tech and banks, be allowed such tremendous power over our lives? That's a good question. And a lot of stuff you just can't talk about on YouTube. But this it'd be a longer video, but maybe this is the YouTube politically correct version. Anyway, check out the subscribe star if you want to support the channel. And I will see you guys on next episode.